Hi, how are you? My name is Kimberly Rogers. I am a laboratory manager at North Memorial Health Hospital. By trade, I am a medical laboratory scientist, and we are the ones behind the scenes that process all the specimens that are received in the hospital and also from doctors' clinics and other locations throughout the cities. Some of my pastimes and hobbies on my free time that I like to do is I love to travel. I love to try new restaurants. I'm very curious. So I enjoy just um, trying new things and investigating, which is probably why I am a scientist because I am always curious about new things. And also, I do enjoy reading. So, with my mom, who was a critical care nurse, every day as a child, I saw her coming home. She worked the night shift for 40 years. She would come home in her scrubs, and I would just be so interested in everything that she does. And during high school, I started volunteering at the hospital, and just to see what that was like to be in that environment. And I enjoyed always helping people and being able to take care of people. But at the same time, I felt like I was more uh, behind the scenes. So I continued on the path through college and I majored in biology, not really sure where or what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to be in the sciences. So I experimented with a couple of things. I was thinking of a physician's assistant or going into nursing school or even med school, but I still wasn't sure. I did graduate with my bachelor's of science in biology. From there, I ended up going into food microbiology with a food company, and we were just testing different samples and food samples there. After working there for a little bit, I realized that I wanted to do something a little bit more clinical. So I looked into working in a hospital with my biology degree, and I found out about becoming a medical laboratory scientist. The majority of the people that go into this field, they are able to major in college for 4 years to become a medical laboratory scientist. But since I had graduated already, I needed 1 year of my clinical rotation. So I went back to school for that, took my 1 year clinical rotation, and I was able to begin working in a hospital where I started off working as a medical laboratory scientist at New York Presbyterian Hospital, and I was working with leukemia and lymphoma, and we were doing flow cytometry to help diagnose this disease. From there, I have worked in another hospital in the blood bank department, and currently I am working as a laboratory manager. So the different departments that are included in the hospital laboratory are microbiology, blood bank, chemistry, hematology. So there are a lot of different areas and ways that you could exceed in the field. As a medical laboratory scientist, you could be working in all different types of locations. It doesn't necessarily have to be a hospital, but you could be working in clinics, you could be working in a hospital or even private labs. And there are all different departments in the hospital itself or wherever you work. So you could be working in the hematology department one day, the chemistry department in another, where you would be running the different patient samples, like such as a CBC or a white blood count, um, checking a patient's sodium or potassium levels. If you work in blood bank, you would be the one that would be issuing the blood to any trauma patients that come in and that need a type of transfusion. In microbiology, you would be getting specimen types such as swabs from wounds or even some urine samples and seeing if there's any type of bacteria that grows. So it's a very interesting field with different departments involved. Right now, I am actually a laboratory manager. Previously, I used to be a supervisor. And as a manager or supervisor, you are in charge of different departments, and you are also in charge of leading the way for different projects that go on. During the COVID pandemic, we were in charge of making sure that testing was available for not just the patients in the hospital, but also for the employees, for the community itself also. So during this time, we had to bring up different tests in order to make this testing available for the patients, and that included testing the assay itself to make sure that it was accurate and precise and gave the results that we wanted. We also ended up opening up two different drive-through locations so that the community could just walk up, drive up to these different locations, and they would be able to get testing for COVID-19 also. And we also opened up different locations so that our employees could get tested. So there were multiple facets of projects that we were working on in order to make the testing available to everybody. And this required just pulling in a lot of different groups in the hospital. So it wasn't just the laboratory that was working on this. We had to find people that were able to schedule, to register, to do traffic control, to be the couriers of the specimens from the location back to the laboratory. So there was a lot of different groups involved and a lot of moving parts in order to make it a very smooth process. So it was definitely a big learning experience because I, in the laboratory, knew nothing about scheduling or registering previous to this, but now I feel like I am able to do that throughout school and just in life in general. I've always been a very curious person. So that came in handy when I was working on different experiments and trying to figure out the best way to go about a different experiment or bring up a new test. So that curiosity always served me well. And also just I am more of a outgoing person. So being in the role that I am now as a laboratory manager, communication is always key. So communicating to my team, communicating to the doctors and the nurses of any changes that are going on in the laboratory, that became a big deal. So I think just having the communication skills, that curiosity to investigate and experiment in different things, and just being determined in what you want to do is very important.